Donald Trump wants Greenland, not as a vacation spot. He wants to buy it, own it, make it American territory, and he's dead serious about it. This isn't new. Trump first floated the idea back in 2019. People laughed. Denmark's prime minister called it absurd. He got angry, canceled a state visit, and the whole thing blew over. But now he's back in office, and he's talking about Greenland again. Except this time, something's different. The jokes have stopped. European capitals are nervous. NATO is watching closely, because what seemed like a bizarre real estate fantasy is starting to look like something much bigger. So why does Trump want this massive ice-covered island in the Arctic? What's actually at stake here? And why is Europe suddenly so worried? Let's start with what Greenland actually is. It's the world's largest island, sitting between the Arctic and Atlantic Oceans. Most people know it's covered in ice. What they don't realize is that it's technically part of Denmark, but it's been autonomous since 1979. The population is tiny, just 57,000 people, mostly indigenous Greenlanders. They run their own government, control their own affairs, but Denmark handles foreign policy and defense, and they pay for most of Greenland's budget, about $500 million a year. That arrangement worked fine for decades, but things are changing fast. The Arctic is melting, and suddenly, Greenland isn't just a frozen rock anymore. It's becoming one of the most strategically valuable pieces of land on Earth. Here's what's underneath all that ice. Massive deposits of rare earth minerals. These aren't just valuable, they're essential. Your smartphone, electric car batteries, our wind turbines, military technology, all of it requires rare earths. Right now, China controls about 70% of global production. They've weaponized that control before, cutting off exports to pressure other countries. Finding alternative sources isn't just smart, it's a matter of national security. Greenland has some of the world's largest untapped reserves. We're talking about elements like neodymium, dysprosium, and terbium. If you can't pronounce them, that's fine. What matters is that modern technology can't exist without them, and right now, America is almost entirely dependent on China for these materials. But it's not just about minerals. Climate change is opening up the Arctic in ways nobody predicted even a decade ago. New shipping routes are emerging. The Northwest Passage, which used to be blocked by ice most of the year, is becoming navigable. That's a game changer for global trade. Ships can cut thousands of miles off the journey between Asia and Europe. Whoever controls access to those routes controls a massive economic advantage. Then there's the military angle. The US already has a presence in Greenland. Thule Air Base sits in the northwest, one of America's northernmost military installations. It houses early warning systems for ballistic missiles. It tracks satellites. It's a critical piece of America's defense infrastructure. But Russia and China are both expanding their Arctic operations. New bases, new icebreakers, new claims to territory. The Arctic is becoming contested space. For Trump, Greenland solves multiple problems at once. Rare earth independence from China, control over emerging shipping lanes. Strategic military positioning against Russia. It's not about ice and polar bears, it's about the future of global power. But here's where it gets complicated. Denmark doesn't want to sell, Greenland doesn't want to be sold, and the rest of Europe is alarmed that an American president is even suggesting it, because this isn't just a real estate deal, it's a question about sovereignty, about alliances, about whether America still respects the territorial integrity of its closest partners. And that question is about to get a lot more intense. Let's talk about what happened when Trump first floated this idea back in 2019. The reaction was immediate and brutal. Denmark's prime minister called it absurd. Greenland's government said they weren't for sale. European allies were stunned. The whole thing seemed like a joke until Trump canceled a state visit to Denmark in retaliation. That's when people realized he was serious. Fast forward to now. He's president again, and he's bringing it up again. But this time, the context is different. The Arctic has warmed faster than anyone predicted. Russia's invasion of Ukraine changed how Europe thinks about security, and China's Belt and Road Initiative is reaching into the Arctic, building infrastructure, making investments, positioning itself for long-term control. Trump sees Greenland as America's move in that game, but Europe sees something else entirely. They see an ally disregarding sovereignty. They see the same logic Russia used to justify taking Crimea. If powerful countries can just buy territory from weaker ones, what does that mean for the international order? Here's the deeper issue. Greenland isn't just Danish territory. It's part of the Kingdom of Denmark, yes, but Greenlanders have their own identity, their own government, their own future to decide. They've been moving toward full independence for years. Many want it, but independence is expensive. That $500 million Denmark sends every year would disappear. Greenland would need another source of income. That's where things get interesting. Some Greenlanders see economic opportunity with America, mining contracts, infrastructure development, investment that Denmark can or won't provide. Others see it as trading one colonial power for another. The history here matters. Denmark's relationship with Greenland wasn't always respectful. Forced assimilation policies, cultural suppression. It's a painful legacy that still shapes how Greenlanders view outside influence. So when Trump offers to buy Greenland, he's stepping into something far more complex than a real estate transaction. He's touching a nerve about identity, sovereignty, and self-determination. And he's doing it in a way that feels transactional, like Greenland is just another property to acquire. Europe's concern isn't just about Greenland, it's about what comes next. If America starts viewing allied territory as negotiable, what does that mean for NATO? What does that mean for the alliances that have kept Europe secure for 75 years? Trust is fragile, and Trump's approach, whether intentional or not, erodes it. Meanwhile, Greenland sits in the middle, caught between superpowers with competing interests. The ice keeps melting, the minerals stay buried. The strategic value keeps rising, and the question of who controls this land, who benefits from its resources, who decides its future, that question is only getting more urgent. Trump wants Greenland because it's the ultimate strategic asset for the 21st century. Minerals, shipping routes, military positioning, all wrapped into one. Europe opposes it because it challenges the principles that have governed international relations since World War II. And Greenland itself? They're watching two giants argue over their home, knowing that whatever happens next will shape their future for generations. The Arctic isn't frozen anymore, neither is this conflict, and the decisions made now will echo far beyond Greenland's shores. Denmark's position is clear. Greenland isn't for sale, period. The Danish Prime Minister has said it repeatedly. So has the Greenlandic premier, but Trump hasn't backed down. He suggested using economic pressure. He's talked about tariffs on Denmark. He's even refused to rule out military force, though his team quickly walked that back. That last part rattled Europe, because even joking about military action against an ally crosses a line. NATO is built on mutual defense. The idea that one member might coerce another over territory, that's not how alliances work, or at least it's not supposed to be. But Trump doesn't see it that way. He sees weakness. He sees Denmark unable to defend Greenland on its own. He sees China making moves, Russia expanding, and America stuck on the sidelines. To him, buying Greenland isn't aggression, it's pragmatism. It's securing American interest before someone else does. European leaders aren't buying it. Us, Germany, France, the UK, they've all signaled concern, not just about Greenland, but about what this says about American intentions. If Trump is willing to pressure Denmark, a founding NATO member, what does that mean for the rest of Europe? What does it mean for the alliance itself? There's also the historical parallel that keeps coming up, Crimea. In 2014, Russia annexed Crimea from Ukraine. The justification was security, protecting Russian interests, historical claims. The West condemned it, sanctioned Russia, called it a violation of international law. Now here's Trump talking about taking Greenland from Denmark. The methods are different, sure, but the underlying logic, it's uncomfortably similar. That's the comparison Europe can't ignore. Or if America normalizes the idea that powerful countries can acquire territory from weaker ones, even through economic pressure, it sets a precedent, and precedents matter. They shape what's acceptable, what's possible, what comes next. Greenland itself remains caught in the middle. Public opinion is mixed. Some see American investment as a path to independence. Others see it as colonialism with a new flag. The premier has been diplomatic, saying Greenland is open to partnerships, but not to being sold. That's a careful line to walk, because here's the reality. Greenland does need money. Independence isn't free. Mining operations could generate revenue, but they take years to develop and come with environmental costs. Tourism is growing but limited. Fishing is valuable but not enough on its own. American investment could change everything. But at what cost? The question isn't just economic, it's existential. What does it mean to be Greenlandic? How do you preserve culture and identity while integrating into global power structures? These aren't easy questions, and Trump's approach, direct and transactional, doesn't leave much room for nuance. So here's where we are. Trump wants Greenland because it's the key to Arctic dominance. rare earths, shipping lanes, military positioning, it's all there. One package, one solution. Europe opposes it because it threatens the rules that have kept the continent stable for decades. Sovereignty matters, alliances matter. You can't just buy your way to security. And Greenland, they're trying to chart their own course, balancing independence with survival, tradition with opportunity. The ice is melting, the world is watching. And the decisions made now will define the Arctic for the rest of the century. This isn't just about one island, it's about power, principle, and what kind of world we're building. So what does this all mean? Trump isn't backing down, Europe isn't giving in, and Greenland is stuck deciding its future while superpowers argue overhead. The Arctic is changing faster than anyone predicted. The old rules don't apply anymore, and whatever happens next in Greenland will set the tone for how the world handles the next great resource scramble. This story isn't over, it's just beginning.